Derek Rimselspach is shooting his horror film all over Ohio, and Framelines is taking a look behind the scenes at Eternal.
I've come to apologize. I feel in part responsible for your son's death. I mean, it happened right outside my house, even if he was trying to steal from me.
You and I both know that's not what happened.
It was an accident. I didn't plan for it to happen like that. I apologize.
Apologize? For killing my son, or for lying about it? You did what you needed to keep your life the way you wanted. And now you think killing my son is the reason for your unhappiness. Well, apologizing is not going to make your wife love you. And it is not going to bring my son back.
Eternal is a story of a flawed man who is cursed to live forever with the sins of his past. It's a horror movie that takes place a little bit in the 1800s, but mostly in present day, and kind of jumps between the two time frames. A big challenge we had was finding the locations for some of the 1800s stuff, because there's, number one, a lot of those are way protected, and people that have this nice pristine cabin from the 1800s doesn't want a big film crew coming in and possibly, damaging it. And, a lot of times, like, if you need something 1800s, it has to sound 1800s too. So you can't have a cabin right by a highway. You can't, have it right under literally, we found this great historical village that was less than half a mile away from an airport. So, there was no way we could shoot there unless we were just shooting silent. And sound is just such a big part of movies. And I think one of lower budget movies where they run into a lot of problems is sometimes they don't pay enough attention to sound. And as far as professional end of movies, like watching the finished product, a lot of times people will forgive a little bit if an image isn't super perfect and super pristine. A lot of times they'll forgive the image a little bit, but bad audio, audiences really notice and just, I don't think, appreciate. We shot at all practical locations. Obviously, we did some set design on stuff, but we didn't actually build any sets or do any in-studio stuff. The 1800 stuff we shot in Nelsonville, and we went all over Ohio. Meredith Prager, our producer, just looked at every historical society and all sorts of stuff and tried to find all these old buildings. And we went through several thought processes. We were like, well, do we want to build an old cabin set? Do we want to find one? And there are kind of pluses and minuses for both of them. Obviously, it's a lot of work to build a set. You need to build it. You need a place to shoot it. And lots of stuff. And a lot of times sets just feel like sets. There are a lot of great practical locations that were old cabins, but the problem with that is a lot of them are really small and you don't have a lot of room to light. You don't have a lot of room to put cameras and, just do moves and stuff. But we ended up finding a spot that wasn't too far away from Columbus that we could shoot at, that was big enough that we could actually light through the windows and we can move the camera around and just worked perfect. People around Columbus have really embraced us, and really a lot of people that own restaurants, who own clubs, who just houses, just have been really great with us and let us shoot at most of their places for free, and just have been really super supportive, and we've gotten a lot of community support for the movie. There were a couple roles I really wanted to get a name actor for. PJ Souls, who was in the original John Carpenter and Halloween, Stripes, and had a small scene in Devil's Rejects, the Rob Zombie movie, was always one of my favorite actresses, and Halloween's one of my favorite movies. And we approached her about a role in it, and she was very receptive and liked the script, and we stopped looking after she signed on, so it was perfect. Working with her is fantastic. She actually is very bubbly and has a great, warm personality. Very easy to work with. Took direction well, and PJ is just a fantastic person to work with on every level. Professionally, what she did acting-wise, just easy to work with. Did a fantastic job. For Eternal, Alex Esper was our director of photography. I had worked with him on several previous movies. I AD'd that he shot on Frat House Massacre and a couple other movies, and we had a long working relationship. And I brought up the idea of Eternal, and I wasn't sure if he'd be interested in shooting it or not. And he said, yeah, definitely, count me in. I definitely want to shoot your movie. So we had him, and that just sort of upped the level for the whole rest of the crew, because we had a really good DP, but to make the movie good, you really need a good lighting crew, and you need a good art crew. And so since we had such a high caliber director of photography, we really had to make sure we got good crew members all around, and I think we really did that. We thought the HD cameras have came along enough that you get a really good image and you can just shoot and do tons of takes and go fast and keep going, so we went the HD route. In Eternal, we had some gore effects, we had a lot of blood, we had some stabbing, we had some baseball bat hitting, we had slashing, and a lot of different gunshots, and just a kind of a variety of blood and gore and special effects that was both fun to do but also a challenge. And when you're on set, a lot of times you'll get the actor all sticky and bloody, and you have to do takes 30 times, and they're way uncomfortable, and it slows you down a little bit, but it was a lot of fun to do. I think Eternal, mostly shooting went pretty well. There was definitely tons of challenges. I feel like we had a great crew and we overcame any obstacle and came away with a really great movie.
Framelines is brought to you in part by Backyard HD, Tape Central, Production Partners Media, and grants from the Greater Columbus Arts Council.